for the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impact. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, you all, we are in a treat. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. You're in for a treat today. This is Michael Buzinski. He is someone who knows exactly how and why your LinkedIn outreach isn't landing. And more importantly, he knows how to fix it. Buzz is a U.S. Air Force veteran, serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and the host of the top 20 ranked Buzzworthy Marketing podcast. He's marketed for over 1,200 companies, built multiple seven-figure businesses, and was dubbed a visionary marketer by the American Marketing Association. Buzz is on a mission to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty by simplifying the marketing process for B2B entrepreneurs. And today we're digging into one of the most abused and misunderstood tools in the modern B2B marketing space: social selling on LinkedIn. In this episode, we're talking about why most B2B service providers completely miss the mark with social selling, the wrong way to automate and what to do instead, and how to create real conversations, not just cold pitches in the DMs. If you've ever cringed at your own LinkedIn strategy, or worse, stopped using LinkedIn altogether, this is an episode that you need. And so with that, welcome to the show, Mike.
Hey, and please call me Buzz.
Buzz. Yeah, welcome to the show, man. Real quick background on Buzz. Buzz and I met through the ARN. It was the
ERG.
Energy. There we go. And we got chatting, and I was like, oh man, this guy has the system figured out. So I do B2B sales, I do leadership coaching, and I'd be up until 10 o'clock at night, cold DMing people, researching people, trying to figure out who I should connect with. It was super weird, right? You're at 10 o'clock at night. At this point, you're just like copying and pasting, and you're like forgetting to fill in somebody's name. Just a nightmare, not successful. Felt like I should keep doing it. Was slaving away from 9 to 11 at night.
Oh.
And Buzz had the absolute solution for me. That's why he's on the show. We're going to get to it. We're going to get into that some more, but real quick, tell them about your automated system. What's the name of it?
Prospect Social is a very simplified, streamlined process or platform that gets the conversation going. That's literally all we built it for. There's so many people that are in the space where you're at, where you're solopreneurs, and you are juggling your business development, your marketing, your paying the bills, plus doing the work. Oh my gosh, if we could actually get the work done, right? And yes. So, we partnered with some developers who basically I wanted to be able to get, I kept hearing, our conversation was this way. I'm like, so if you just needed to have more conversations, you're like, if I just get in front of the right people, I'm going to be okay. Like if I talk to 4 people, 2 of them are buying my stuff, right? Yep. Because as long as they're, qualified, right? And I'm like, okay, I hear that over and over and over again. So we were like, okay, we need to create a system that allows for faster conversations on a platform, through a platform that is B2B. Now, this platform is only for B2B service-based businesses. So if you don't have that, I don't have the answer for you. I am not a LinkedIn person for B2C. I'm technically not even a LinkedIn person. I'm a B2B marketer that runs into solopreneurs all the time. And this was just a way, kind of like my book, to help the micro businesses, the solopreneurs, get to the point where they're going to need that marketing operating systems and the other advanced marketing things that we offer at Buzzworthy.
Yes. And this is what I want to point out here. We're going to talk about kind of your credentials. This is not your first rodeo, so to speak. So when you designed this system, it was not, just you're not selling fries on the side of your business here, like a lot of coaches and consultants. Yeah.
Yes. No. And most people are like, wow, this is really cool. This is what you do. I was like, no, this is like the beginning of what we do. This is how we get people plugged into the internet so that they can test their message, because we help people get focused on their messaging, right? And you and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
And my biggest successes have been helping people synthesize, simplify, and systemize their messaging. Well, if you don't have money to spend on advertising, thousands of dollars a month, and the ad and the creative and all the other things that go along with it, you have to have the reps to figure out what messaging is working. And what better way to do it than in DMs and in sales calls. So I'm like, okay, so if I can get you a dozen chances, dozen reps a month to talk to the people you want to be talking to, testing the messages that we've created, now I'm doing marketing research while you're selling your product. Oh gosh darn, you might even make some money while you're doing it.
And I think, I think that's intimidating. I think you get stuck in the failure cycle and you're almost intimidated. Like, what if I had 12 leads that could convert this month? And
Right?
right. So what do we all do? We all join BNI. I'm not picking on BNI. They're like my whipping boy. I tease about
Yeah,
them
I
a
was
lot.
in BNI for 11 years. I told it my first $1 million was built on referrals from BNI, word of mouth.
Yeah, so
referrals.
it's great system, but it is kind of a fun whipping boy, right? Because what
Yeah.
happens is I put on my plumbing supply polo, and you put on your
Yeah.
electrical supply polo, and I get my sales my sales cards, and you get your sales cards, and we show up to each other, and we're like, "Hey, would you like to buy some plumbing supplies?" You're like, "No." "Would you like to buy some electrical supplies?" And then like I literally on LinkedIn today, I got somebody a very, very nice message about that long. And it was like, "Hey, I was looking at your profile and I think you'd be great for our new MBA program at Western Kentucky Northern Southern University."
The
And
executive Stanford programs.
yeah, I'm like, I feel like this is an authentic message. No, I think we all know the cringe that
Yes.
happens at the networking events, at the elevator pitches, at the soccer game. Like, oh,
Yes, totally. And I think I am on the air by myself right now. So what he's talking about is the fact that when we're we're networking, sometimes we get that mechanical conversation going. And the problem with that is that when you try to translate that same type of mechanical, predictable messaging in online, it comes by even worse. It becomes really canned. And if you've ever dealt with messaging from AI, you are looking at the fact that, hey, I'm just filling in space here for
I
you,
know
aren't
you're doing
you?
great. I can tell you're doing great already. Thank you,
And so let me
StreamYard.
finish
Thank
this
you,
thing is
StreamYard.
that, when you get into the conversations that Drew was just talking about before you had to drop off for a second, and you put that out into the ether on the internet through text, it comes out really bad.
Oh
And
man.
on
Oh
top
man.
of that, there's a lot of people who would try to use AI to carry the conversations through, and that's just as bad, if not worse. I don't care how well that the AI is trained. You can use AI to help you with copy. You could use AI to help you start your messaging for DMing. And then when we're talking about DMing, we're talking about direct messaging through any social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're talking LinkedIn because we're B2B. But that's where that mechanical and non-contextual conversation comes off really bad.
Yeah. So, all right. So somebody's listening here and they're like, okay, so I think Buzz has this system and maybe it's interesting. How much energy am I going to have to put in to start using this? I'm going to tell you, Buzz has an onboarding process. It's amazing. He sat down with me. He said, like, so this is almost a commercial for you. I love the system so much. And
I
and I said, hey,
appreciate it.
this is my ICP. This is the sales process that I want to follow. I want to invite people on the podcast. I kind of had two thrusts. One is podcast guests, and one is I host an event with a friend of mine called Innovate. It's a global event thing. And so Buzz sat down, and he walked me through, and he personally helped me through. Hey, this is how you sound natural. Here's your lines. Do you like these lines? We edited it on the fly, and then that's been running for me for 2 or 3 months now. I think 2 months is what we're just starting our third month,
All right.
and I have gotten 15 solid, really great guests that come on the show from
Nice.
those campaigns. And the truth is, I've throttled myself because I
Drew,
kind of
you've
like,
only been running that campaign for 5 weeks. You got 15 guests in 5 weeks.
there we go. So if you are a B2B, this is actually good for me. I have a time scale problem because I'm like, this is where I want to get to. And then I
You
put it
just
down.
started your second month, like last
Yeah.
week. Like you've only been doing it for 5 weeks, and you already
Okay.
got it. So you exceeded what we promise.
Yeah.
Is that, hey, I want to get you 7 to 12 conversations, live conversations with people you want to do business with. And you've
Yeah.
decided to use podcasts as a way to network, which is awesome. I love it. We have one. It's called the Buzzworthy Consultant Podcast. Any of your listeners are in the B2B service-based space and you want to network with me, you just got to reach out to me, and we'll talk about you being on our show. But I think that, and everybody has their own process, right?
Right.
But yes, the system helps you to answer your question. How long, how much time, how much bandwidth? I bet you could probably tell the audience how much bandwidth you spend daily on Prospect Social.
I spend less than 10 minutes because
because you're doing it right.
Yeah. So I won't break the secret sauce, but what I do want to highlight there is, and this I want to transition to talk about your experience here. But Buzz has been doing this for a lot of people, 1,200, one comma, and then some zeros, people, right? So when he made this system, and this is not, I think, in addition to selling fries with that and maybe a shake, I think a lot of marketing consultants, they're like, well, if you just use this white label software, I think I teased you about that. I was like, is this just a white label software? No, this is a custom designed software that marries with LinkedIn, and it allows me to sound natural. I'm not salesy. I'm starting a conversation. I'm very proud of the way I sound on it. I've actually made a couple of other campaigns to do different things.
Yes, you did. I saw that.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
but enough about the system. I don't want this to be a full commercial, though.
No worries. No worries.
Let's talk about your skills. So you've done the poverty game. You've played entrepreneur chase it land, and then you had success. So give us some pointers. How do you get out of the $3,000 a month club, right?
I love that. Yes, right. Like our gross income is a fraction of what we made when we were professionals, right?
Right.
Yeah, we got to get out of that. And this is the problem.
An entrepreneur is the only person that'll quit a 40-hour week so that he can work an 80-hour week.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we'll work 80 to 90 hours a week, so we don't have to work a 40-hour week job. That's exactly right. And so for 13 years, I lived in entrepreneur poverty. It took me 10 years to hit the $1 million annual revenue mark the first time. But when I went, and so the long story of this, that's a very long story. So let me go with the short story. The short story is this. Looking back, if I had just done what I've been doing for the last 7 years for folks, which is helping people focus. Okay. And this is a little bit of secret sauce for people. Focus stands for fix one clearly urgent struggle. People are stuck.
Clearly urgent struggle. I love it.
Focus. Right. And because so everybody, including myself, for a very, very long time, they're trying to get all of their wares, they're marketing all their wares to all of the people. And so they become nothing to anyone because there's nothing to remember. You're just another person. I love it when people say, I'm like, so what do you do? Right. And they're like, well, I got like 4 businesses. Well, then you didn't ask me enough questions before I could ask you the one question. Because you should know which business you were going to talk about today, especially the first time you meet somebody, right? Yeah. I don't want to hear about your 4 businesses, because if one of those businesses is interesting, I now know I'm going directly to one of your lackeys. And if it's not one of your lackeys, I'm getting 1/4 of your attention. That is a huge problem. And that keeps people poor because they are trying to serve too many masters. Whether it's in one business or multiple businesses. So in one business, it can be multiple offerings. And using the focus framework, we can find a pinhole that all of your offerings will come into the picture, but through the lens of one pinhole.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Fix one clearly urgent struggle. Focus.
I do a workshop on that. And it's amazing how people go. They've been in business for like 10, 15 years. They've never done 7 figures. And they go, I've got a $10 million CPA firm. We just walked through the whole rigmarole, a little more detailed for bigger firms. But when we got down to their productized service CPA firm, they've got all the things, bookkeeping, taxes, all that stuff, right? And I'm like, so does everybody else. What's your secret sauce? And so we finally figured out, we did some outcome mapping and all this other stuff. And we found out that they had like two sides of their coin, their offering. One's tactical, one's strategic. But you have to go through their tactical pieces to get to the strategic piece. So we created 2 productized services. So now instead of a menu of services, we have two options, and they're going to qualify people to see if they're ready for strategy, then they're automatically going to tactics. And so they only have only two things to talk about on any given sales call, period.
I love that. A mentor of mine used to drill it into my head. The confused mind says no.
Yes.
And if you are showing your menu of offerings to your clients, you're like, hey, this is to your prospects. This is all the things that I do. They're like, I don't know which one I need. And oftentimes they think they need what they don't need. They're like, well,
Oh, yeah.
I don't need B2B sales help. What I really need is more leads. You're like,
Right.
You don't, that's not what, but it's insulting. And this was a hard one for me because I'm an explainer. I'm like, oh, well, let me explain to you what your problem is. And a friend of mine,
Yes. The
and
consultant. Yes.
yeah, my friend was like, don't do brain surgery in the waiting room, man. It's
No.
like if they understood what their problem was, they wouldn't be there having that question.
Right.
And when you're explaining to them that they need heart surgery and that you're going to use this, the extra filament tip with the extra springiness, they don't care. They don't even know they have a heart problem. So don't do
They don't
heart
even know.
surgery.
They don't even understand what a splint looks like, and it's in. It's like, right. They're like, they need quadruple bypass surgery, and they're talking, yeah, the splint, and they're like, well, explain the splint. I don't care as long as it gets my heart working and I can live for a little longer, right? Like that's
right.
yeah, totally. And one of the things you said was like, hey, people, they think they need more leads, and you kind of cringe because you understand you don't need more leads, you need more conversations.
Yes.
And people. They come to marketers like me going, I want to fill my pipeline. And I slowed them down and said, how many conversations are you having right now? And if they're not having enough conversations, they might have a business development problem, because most businesses do better with a strong business development space that then feeds a marketing operating system, because then you can test your message and you can test your conversation. You can test what these people, the heartbeat of the people who say yes, you can use that as marketing research. It is the best marketing research because it's the one that pays you when you get it right versus just paying to find out what might be right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And
so let's go back to
that's what Prospect Social was like. That was one of the things we were solving for, was like, you need more reps.
Yes. Okay. So let's go back to your story.
Okay.
Were you in Alaska? Somewhere in my head you were in
Alaska.
Alaska.
I was in Alaska for 17 years. I got stationed there while I was in the Air Force in 2001, got out in 2005, started a recording studio of all things. I was a working musician from 13 to 28. And
that's right. Trombone, right?
Yeah, I was a jazz trombonist at the age of 13. Then that faded as everybody went to high school, and I picked up a guitar and started working bands. I remember my favorite memory of all of that. One of my favorite memories, I should say, was the first time we got paid was in San Francisco State University. We were playing for a prophylactic art exhibit. So we're in this exhibit hall, and there's a sea of prophylactic art, and, and we're on stage. We got paid in these huge jumbo chocolate chip cookies and Snapple iced tea. That's that was my first paying gig as a rock star.
Hey man, win's a win. Take the W. I love it.
So anyway, fast forward, I quickly figured out that working with Starfy musicians was no way to pay the bills.
No,
and so it pivoted to a media production studio that then grew into a multi-million-dollar creative agency over a 13-year period. And in 2018, I was burnt out, and I owned a job, and my boss was an ass. So I was like, I gotta go. And so I closed the door on a multi-million-dollar, 13,000 square foot facility. I said, and I told everybody, I was like, you're not fired. You just can't come here to work. You got to work from home. Okay. And I had two people say, yeah, I just had one person say maybe, then no. And then one person said yes. They lasted about 6 weeks. Then, long story for why that is, but there's a lot of people at that time, that wasn't a thing. Like remote work was not a thing, but I knew that I needed to do business differently. And I needed to get out of having that big weight of the brick and mortar. It was what was keeping us from being profitable, right? So I had all of the monikers of a successful business, as was defined in the early 2000s, right? Growth at all costs. Once you
Yep.
get big enough, the money will come, right? And so I just
Right.
kept reinvesting, right? And never really giving myself more money, right? And I was just like, it'll pay off, it'll pay off, it'll pay off. And then I got there and I'm like, crap, I'm in this little crossroads where I'm gonna have to spend another 5 years to get where I really want to be financially. And I was just like, no, I've already given 13. This is stupid. Like, I'm making other people so much more money, right? And I'm bringing in millions of dollars a year. I'm just
Yeah.
not keeping any of it. Well, that's a stupid way of doing business. So about 7 years ago, so beginning of 2019, I started Buzzworthy Marketing. So we rebranded BuzzBiz Creative and to Buzzworthy Marketing. Fired about 250 clients.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's brave. I mean,
I
firing a
couldn't do
couple
it.
of clients is one thing, but firing 250 clients, that's a
We
lot.
served over 300 companies a year. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. We were only doing $2.5 million in revenue, serving 300 companies a year.
Ooh, yeah.
My average revenue per client, dismal.
Yeah.
Dismal. Okay. So yeah, you've got to fire clients that are not profitable. And then I picked up this book called the Rule of Profit First.
Yeah.
It changed my life.
Solid.
I all of a sudden understood money because
Yep.
back in college, I got a C in corporate finance because I didn't understand how like 1 + 1 = 2, like, and 2
Yeah.
- 1 = 1. Like that's not how it works. But then Profit First showed me, it's like, here you go, soup. I'm like, this. And if you've ever like done like Dave Ramsey or anything like that, this is basically Dave Ramsey for businesses, right? Like it's buckets, it's thing. I mean, and it's buzz for the business. And now they have banks that actually do the system for you automatically. And so I'm like, so for over the years, I'm like, it's been the best thing. And so now I'm 7 times more profitable at a fraction of the revenue. So it's like, I'm not chasing gross sales anymore. I'm chasing impact, because I know that for every client that I create another job for, I will be just fine.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Okay. So that takes us to COVID. What was and you got out of buildings, out of brick and mortar
Almost a year to the day. Yeah.
Did you ever look at all your other friends and be like, "No, I knew it was coming"? Did you ever take credit for that?
No, I never take credit for that. I'm like,
I would
fortunate
a little
timing. That was a tough time though. You don't understand. Like in Alaska, to be that size right there, and as a small business, was a big deal. I mean, Anchorage is a little bit smaller than like Richmond, Virginia, or St. Louis. Like the proper St. Louis is about 350,000, and there's 373,000 people in Anchorage, Alaska, right? So big money there, though. Oil, that counts. Very modern city, right? But it's the business community is very tight. And I came from some soldier off the Air Force Base, started a recording studio, and all of a sudden he's doing TV commercials, and he's doing this, and he's doing that, and he's working with that, and all of a sudden, and all the legacy agencies are going, who the hell is this guy? Right? And all I was doing, and I was kind of like Robin Hood in that I was working with all the brick and mortar SMBs, like micro businesses that were being ignored, because it was there's only void in the market. And so that's where we kind of fit in there. And so so most of my friends, it's kind of funny. I did not have a lot of entrepreneur friends. It was really, it's really weird. But that's because I was always working. So I didn't really have, I had a group of friends. I sponsored my softball team, so I got to hang out with those guys. And I had entrepreneurs I hung out with, right? Because they're clients or referral partners or vendors and stuff like that. My best friend is still a client from Alaska, right? Yeah. So it's there. But they got a landscaping company. They got, iron and all the other stuff. They weren't going anywhere, that type of thing. But no, I never took credit for it.
That's funny. No, I remember. So I was in corporate land when COVID hit. And it was like a Tuesday at like 11:30. And they're like, if anybody feels unsafe, you can go home and work from home. And like I'm pretty right on the spectrum. Like I'm like libertarian is like really where I fall. So like I was like, I don't believe in this virus stuff. I'm not picking on the virus. I'm saying at that time this is my viewpoint, right? And so I was like, I feel uncomfortable, and I just left. And I went like
And
I
never
walked
came
out of that
back.
meeting, and I didn't go back to work for I think 4 or 5 years, 4 years I think. Um,
Wow.
and
That would have been
hence
like
the
last
studio
year.
here. Yeah, seriously, I didn't like. I remember once I had to go down to Nashville, and it had been so long since I wore a suit that I didn't
Mm.
bring black socks. So like I'm like leading this like customer meeting. I have slacks on, I have a shirt, I have a coat, and then like I looked down at my shoes and I was like, oh, I literally forgot to bring black socks. I'm like in the middle of like the conference room with like these white like flashlights shooting out the
Oh
top of
my
my pants.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, COVID is crazy. All right, so marketing. So you had a big thing. You shrunk it.
Mhm.
You're now in North Carolina, uh,
Virginia.
Virginia. Sorry, Virginia.
Virginia, right
You're
outside
now
of
in
Richmond,
Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah. Love it.
So did you just said, "Hey, I'm going to take the win. I'm going to travel the world," or what got you to Virginia?
No, actually, once it got rid of the brick and mortar, I told my girlfriend at the time and soon to be a fiance, we had already been talking about that, hey, listen, when we met, I said that I had a brick and mortar business. I wasn't going anywhere. So, she was a transplant from Texas. And I was like, just so you know, I don't plan on going anywhere at the time. And that was like 6 months prior to this, by the way. And so when that all happened, I told her, I said, well, I don't have the anchor anymore. So if you want to pursue anything in lower 48, I've been up here for 17 years. I'm good to move around a little bit more.
Yeah.
I haven't lived let me say that right. Alaska, I lived in Alaska longer than anywhere else in my life for 17 years,
Oh,
even
yeah,
as a kid.
17 years of commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So even in like growing up, I was an Air Force brat, born in England, blah, 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 blah. So with all that said, she got a job in Illinois. That ended up being a crap shit show. Sorry. And so now we're here in Virginia. And so we're just, once you go remote, for 100% remote and virtual, it's pretty easy to move around. And so I've been able to grow the business through COVID and 2 moves very successfully. I would say, like, if I had not had COVID, if we didn't have COVID and we had only moved that once, and I think that we would be in a different place. But considering that we had to go through both of those things, yeah, I think we're doing great. And we're doing big things. We're a tech-backed marketing firm. I mean, that right there in itself is something that a lot of people haven't been able to do. They haven't figured out how technology is going to support them in their business consulting firms.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't want to make the show a complete commercial for Prospect Social, but I will say that it's the right way to use tech. You can go all the way hard, I don't know, left or right, whichever. You go hard one
Yeah.
way, which is you get the I think it's air.ai, which is like the voice thing that's doing
Oh
outbound calls
yeah.
for
Oh
you.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like automating the whole thing. It's way too much automation. And
Way
then you
too.
go to like I'm just copying and pasting form emails. That doesn't work. But
Yeah.
Prospect Social, it's the right way to use tech. You're taking this like the boring prospecting, monotonous reach outs that you would
Mm-hmm.
have to be customizing yourself, and you're saying, no, let's make this routine, and
Mm-hmm.
then once we have the contact, then let's be human on the other end of it, which I
100%.
love.
Yeah, it's
So
just getting the conversation started for the users so that they only are having to show up 5 to 10 minutes to just reply to the conversations that are already started for them. Because
yes,
then the real work happens, right? We're just skipping forward to through the mundane, right? Because I mean, when you're spending 2 hours on outreach, right?
yeah,
10
outreach.
hours a week, 40 hours a month you were spending. And that's very common for people to spend anywhere from an hour to 2 hours a day just on outreach. That's just asking people to connect, right?
Yep.
And
And you're like reading their profile, and you're
oh
trying to
yeah,
come up. All right, what's a
oh yeah,
clever way to say something? Yeah, it's
yeah.
exhausting.
Exhausting, right? And then out of those, what was your percentage connections? 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10,
Probably 1 or 2 out of 10. And
right?
of those connections, at some point, you're just like chasing second order connections of somebody that you know that
Yeah,
doesn't have any interest in you talking to them about leadership. You're just
exactly.
like, oh, here's a name or a title that I got to get 5 more of these tonight. And so you're just like doing it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
the crazy thing, so with that, it's the targeting that we do, obviously we walk our users through. We did that with you. It's like, who do you want to talk to? And then we're like, and
Mhm.
then we're making sure the filters are all basically disqualifying the types of people you think you want to talk to, and really getting you into the type of people you should be talking to. Then we use
Yeah.
AI to then sort and rank those secondary connections to the people who are going to be most likely to connect with you and engage with you, right?
Yes.
We're using AI
Yes.
to assist us in the process, not do the process for us. And that's a huge thing. And then with our
Yes.
profile, the personality profiling in the message box, you don't have to go to another screen. It's right there next to your stuff, and you know exactly what type of person you're talking to, and you get AI prompts to help you start that conversation. So now you're not searching for the words, you're not trying to figure out who this person is. You already know this person's a thinker. They're going to need some data. They're going to need more details. Dot dot dot. Okay, so I'm going to have a detail-oriented person here. So I'm not going to jump to the end. I need to start the conversation lightly and walk them through the process. And then versus the driver, give me the facts, give me the timeline, let's go. Right.
Yep.
And so now we're helping you with those conversations. And that's why we went from 2 hours a night, and that's just in the outreach, to 10 minutes a day. That's
Yeah.
huge. In 15 meetings in 5 weeks.
Yeah. And I mean, in real meetings, interesting meetings, there's a batch of them that I'm not like meeting with, but I'm kind of piloting a new I do leadership training, right? So I'm
Right, right. You
piloting
were
a
saying
new
that,
leadership
yeah. Mhm,
thing for restaurants. So I'm reaching out
mhm.
to people in the leadership development programs, and I'm
Right.
saying, "Hey, I love your company. I know that you guys do great leadership. What's the biggest problems you have?" So I'm literally doing market research with these folks. Now I
Mhm.
also know that they're leadership development people, and so in a year and a half, they're probably going to want some help. So like,
So you're nurturing
but I'm
relationships.
nurturing a
What
long-term
the
relationship.
how
They're giving me
novel.
great feedback. Yeah, imagine caring about people. Imagine. Yeah, yeah. No, it's fun.
That's
It's
awesome.
a great little system. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked your history. We talked where you're at now.
Yeah.
Uh, you're developing this custom software that is like super niche. It
Mhm.
is not, it's not fries with that marketing. It's how you do. I think the title of the show: How do you do B2B marketing without losing your soul? I love it.
That's right.
What is around the corner for buzzworthy marketing?
So we're continuing down the road of AI assisted or AI squared, if you will. So AI meets actual intelligence, right? So human optimized AI in and marrying those with the frameworks that I built over the last 20 years. So I've got the rule of 26 that I released in 2020 to help brick and mortar businesses who are forced into online marketing. Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rule
Let's
of
do this.
26. There
Dun,
it
da,
is.
da,
There you
da,
go.
rule of 26.
Boom. And so that helped people understand like it doesn't have to be complicated, right? And so now here in the next year, we're going to be launching the Buzz Hub Club. So Buzz Hub is one of our
Ooh,
other softwares, which is we create marketing operating systems that plug into things like Prospect Social. So we create these systems for people. That's what we do, right? Um, and so the Buzz Hub Club is going to be a space where people can now get the information they need to understand where they should go. Because people don't want to, an entrepreneur does not want to learn marketing.
no,
Okay.
right.
And we're not an education organization, right? What they need are playbooks. They need to be understand where they stand now. So audits and those types. And we do those. We do full marketing diagnostics for people. And so they understand exactly where they're at. And we even give them a 90-day roadmap of like, here, let's put you in the right direction and so that you're going down the right road versus, well, I've got 3 roads. I'm going to guess. And then when I find a dead end in one, I got to go all the way back to the crossroads and start another one and back until you finally find the right one. So getting people pointing in the right direction is a big thing for us. And then next year, we'll be announcing the next book as well, which is going to be a whole revenue engine space there. So really what I'm talking about is my BHAG. I want to create 17 million jobs by year 2040.
Oh, I love it. 17 million jobs by
17
the
million jobs by 2040. We have done the
all
math
right.
for every direct job that is added to our client's portfolio. It creates 53.5 jobs, both directly and in around the communities of those jobs. And so we're going
Yeah.
to directly create 320,000 jobs. And that means that we need to leverage technology to help more B2B service-based businesses, where the 63% of all new job creation is created through the B2B small to medium-sized businesses.
It is. I think I spent a lot of time in the startup space. That we actually, our local community has a Shark Tank competition. It's called Five
Okay.
Across.
Sure.
It like we get a crowd of maybe 100 people. People got noisemakers. We're celebrating people. There's 5 pitches for 5 minutes at 5 o'clock. It costs
Oh
$5.
yeah. I used to do 10 million cups, so I'm very familiar.
Okay. Yeah. It's a good time. But the
Yeah.
problem is everybody in that conversation needs money, right? So that we're not
Right.
creating jobs. We're like all volunteering to work for free.
Right.
And the
The
small and
hackathons.
medium businesses
Right.
crossing that $1 million mark, scaling to that $10 million mark.
Right.
That's what really starts changing your community. How many $3 to $10 million businesses do you have in a community? How do you get there? How do you export? Like, I love a lawn mowing business. In fact, I tell everybody that asks me about business, I'm like, listen, you want to be in lawn mowing. You know what you have to do. You know what you're doing. You know when you're done. Like, it's very.
Hey, and you know who needs it. And you know who needs
it. Yeah.
And just walk down the street and figure it out.
Right. But that's a service business, and you're kind of fixed. Look, it's a great business, but it's a service business. What every community needs is those businesses that are exporting goods and importing cash. And then that business is what you need. Somebody that has a $10 million business to do a lot of good landscaping for.
Exactly.
Right?
And when you're talking about we had a fractional CFO that we worked with about 2 years ago. And in 18 months, we took them from just him to now he now employs 7 people. So just in that one client in 2 years, we have created over 350 jobs.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit cheap. It's a 7X but really that's a 7X in 2 years. Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He went from 3 clients paying him like $1,500 a pop to now he's a 7-figure business. He's got it was a solopreneur. Now he has 4 fractional CFOs working for him. He owns a business now.
I love it. One of my favorite lines from Grant Cardone is he goes, "I barely graduated college," or maybe he says, "I didn't graduate college." But now I got 5 master's degrees and 3 PhDs, and I pay them all really good money.
I love it.
Life goals right there, my friend. Life goals.
Yeah, that is it.
All right, cool. Well, I think I've made the case for everybody here that there is a better way to do B2B. Using tech in the right spot, in the right verticals, so that you can create genuine conversations. And then I love what you just talked about here, which is when you do that, 17 million real jobs is a real thing, right? This is what makes, we don't need a red hat to say we can make America great again. We just need to
more conversations.
Get better at have more conversations about real business. I love it. We are running out of time. I'm going to give you 3 to 5 minutes here. Just hit us with your best wisdom. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, I'm not going to take all of your 3 to 5 minutes because I don't think anybody wants to listen to me for 3 to 5 minutes. So I want to say this. If you are a micro business, and micro businesses are usually under $1 million, okay?
Right.
You don't need, and this is coming from a marketer, okay? You don't need a complex marketing system. You need a conversation starter process. That's all you need. Now, once you have enough conversations and in B2B, we deal with a long sales cycle, right? So now once you have enough conversations to where now you need to sort them, you don't really need a marketing operating system. You might just need a CRM, okay? And then once your CRM gets to a point where now we're trying to nurture these leads a little bit further than just a couple of emails, then you're going to start looking at a marketing operating system. But when we really look at that, if you're just you and a maybe a VA or something like that, you're probably not ready for a full-fledged operating system. You might just need something like Prospect Social, if you will, something that just gets the conversations going. And it has a mini CRM in it to help you keep track of things so you're not losing on the conversations. And once you grow out of that, then you're looking at CRM. Once you grow out of that CRM, then you're looking at marketing system. So when somebody comes to you and says, hey, I got 15, if you for 15K, I can get you blah, blah, blah. And they give you the whole thing. And it's like all the things you're ever going to need to get to 7 figures and blah, 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 blah. Like, listen, people, I built a 7-figure marketing agency out of my Gmail. No $15,000, nothing else. It was about conversations. So if I give you anything, if you're under $1 million, just keep the conversations going. You will get where you need to go.
I love it. I love it. Well, Buzz is being a little bit modest. I had him on the show because I have personally paid him a couple of months in a row. He's had massive impact on my life. If you are a micro business, a small business, a medium business, you say, you know, something doesn't ring true about these fries with that marketing strategies that I hear. You don't need a massive system. You need conversations, real conversations booked, and Buzz will get you for them. Get with Buzz. He'll walk you through the process. It's his own custom software. It's made a massive difference in my life, and I know it'll make a difference in your life too. Get with Buzz. Tell him you heard him on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. At the very least, reach out, read his book, The Rule of 26, and help him on his mission to start 17 million jobs here in the next 15 years.
15 years. We don't have much time. Let's go.
All right. So with that, we are